Welcome to the donhat crew. I went to a Uta ST11 event. I got the first place, got myself 2 packs, and we're gonna open one of them right now. And yeah, this looks amazing. Anyways, let's open one of the boxes and I'll show you what's inside. There's usually at least 2 tapes on the side right here. Just pop them open with anything you want. And it should easily open up like this. Some ASMR. And inside of the box we get the deck, which is stapled, plastic something something, a rule book with a tip paper playmat that we can use just to see where you need to put each card, where the trash is, where the deck is. If you're new, this is amazing for you, just to know the phases and just to know the basics, as you can read all of this on the back of this. Inside of the deck, let's put this to the side, and there's nothing else inside, so let's put this back just to keep some space. You can use this as a trash box to keep your cards, like common cards. If you have a bunch of like cards like these, you can put them inside. Anywho, let's take a look at what's inside of this. This is how the leader looks. Looks amazing. In Japan, this deck won the nationals, so it's a very good deck. I'll be talking about the deck list soon. You can see a video above. There's the thumbnail. So let's take a look at what's inside. First of all, what I need to know is what kind of Don there are. So we have basic Don. These are not the shiny Don that we got in the ST10. These are just basic Don, but if you're new, this is more than you need. This is a perfect deck if you're new, because you should just buy 2 of these and get like 4 Namis and you should be fine to play the deck. And like I said, this deck won the nationals in Japan like a few days ago. So it's a good investment, since it can be a good deck later on once other sets come out, like the Chopper one, the EB. It will have a lot of film cards that you can use. So what we get is Uta leader. We get the new Uta blockers. There's 2 of these. This is the main reason we buy this structure deck, just for these cards, because we run 4 of the Uta blockers and we need a Uta leader. And because of this card, because we get only 2 of these, this is arguably the best searcher in the game right now. So it's an amazing card, and you definitely want to run 4 of these as well. So basically, if you don't have the film package, these are the main cards that you need. And there's a few more I will show later on as we go in. But if you can buy one of these and the cards that they will be put in a set right here, which you usually run at 2 or 4, most of the time these are at 4. If you can get these at the event, after people play the event, they might not need them. And if you can get them cheaper than the ST deck, then the deck is quite budget. It's like 20 euros plus 4 Namis, which is not that expensive. So we get the 4 Brooks, which is an amazing card in the deck. It can swarm the field. We get 4 Luffys, which is arguably one of the best blockers because it's a 7k and it also swarms the field. And the combo you can do is play Luffy. With the Luffy you play the Brook, and with the Brook you play the Usopp. So basically for 7 down you get 3 bodies on the board, which are 5k, 5k and a 7k. That's a blocker, which is like the main point of the deck. We have 4 Jimbes, which we usually do not run in the meta deck, so I'm gonna put them aside like that. We have 4 Choppers, which is the only film 2k counter that we have right now for Uta, so it's an amazing card. We will put them next to these because they are playable. We have 4 law, the 2 cost. At this point in the meta, I would play this, but later on as we get better cards, like we get the Mihawk, the 3k counter Mihawk that's coming out in a month, we will be taking out this later on, but for now you can be able to play this. Then we have 4 Nico Robins, which I would say we do not play in the meta deck, so we just put it aside. We get 4 Frankies, which is good in the event. That is the ST11 event. You can check out the video above, how I won the first place with the ST11 event. But basically this is not really playable in the meta deck because of Sakazuki. It can just get popped, it's not worth playing it. Then we have 4 Zoro. I personally play 2 of this in my build, and I will upload a video soon. You can also check it out. The thumbnail is above. But some people play 4 because you can play it with Luffy. So you basically put a Luffy and you swarm with the Zoro, which is a 6k, which is nice. But I prefer to use 2. If you want to use 4, that's fine as well. There are builds that do that. Then we get the Onigiri. Also another reprint. Basically all of these cards and this I put aside are all reprints. Same with this one. If you're playing in the event, it's a playable card, but usually in the meta deck we do not play this card. And right now we're going to the new cards that we got, as in these cards I'm keeping at the top. We have 2 Backlight, also a card that you want to use, because not only it can rest on opponent's blocker when you're going for game, it can also pop a card that's rested, which is 5 or less in their cost. So it's a very good card. We will put it right here. And the last card that you get the 4 of is I'm Invincible, which is arguably one of the best cards Uta has right now. Because against Sakazuki, if Sakazuki clears all of these cards that you usually swarm with Brook into Usopp, with maybe even Luffy into Usopp, into Brook, Usopp, or into Zoro. If they're able to clear all of this, they're using a lot of resources and you're usually poking them a lot. This card can finish the game if they have if you have at least multiple of these, and usually you will find them because you're going to be running 4 New Genesis and your Uta leader does search cards every time you add a Dawn and swing with it. You just keep this for the late game and you swing aggressively, like put 4 Dawn on Uta and swing 9k 3 times. Sakazuki is not going to be able to defend that. You could arguably even go like 6k and use 3 of these, but I would rather not do that. 7 to 9k is more than enough. You should not go below than that when you're using this event. And basically these are all the cards we get in the deck. These are all the playable cards that we get in the deck. These you can just put aside, they're not really playable unless you like the Frankie. And maybe you might tech this since we don't have a lot of 2k counters. But just to show things for you as a sneak peek, I will be playing this deck as well, and I have a few options that you can use in case you're interested in which cards you should pick up just to have in your Uta deck. Some of the cards you might consider just to make this deck better from all the playable cards that you have. I'm going to put them aside. And just for you to know what cards you need to get to be able to play the deck, like I said, you might consider getting a few backlights, but some people run only 2 of these, some people run 3. And you definitely need to get 2 more Uta blockers and 2 more New Genesis cards. So these are the main cards that you need to get if you only bought 1 of these. If you can get 2 more blockers and 2 more searchers at your locals, even after the Uta event, that's a good choice to start with. Another card that you might consider is the Eustace Captain Kid. The Japanese player that won the Nationals played 4 of these, so you might consider investing into this early on until it gets expensive. But the main cards that you might consider, well, you actually need to buy, is the 4 Namis. Basically, this is the only card that you need to get outside of the ST deck is the 4 Namis, 2 more Utas, so you would have 4 of these, and 2 more Genesis, so you would have 4 of these. Those are the only things you need to get, unless you really wanna go and play more than 2 backlights, which I personally will play at least 3 backlights. You will see a deck profile coming soon on the top. And yeah, I would play 3 backlights personally, and I would play 4 Uta blockers and 4 searchers, definitely. So if you can get these two and these two after the event, you don't need to buy another structure deck. If you don't, you actually need to buy another structure deck just for these 4 cards and for the backlight. The Namis you should be able to get, like, you should have gotten them earlier, but if you didn't know and you're only making the deck now, you should get 4 Namis at least. This is a broken card, it's a film card, it gets a search on play for 1 Dawn, and every time she swings, she also gets another Dawn on top. For 1 Dawn, you get another search on top of that. So definitely need these. They're about 16 to 20 euros right now each. So this is the most expensive card you will need to buy. So the whole deck will be under 100 euros at least, which is not a lot, competing with other decks that are meta decks right now. A few other things you can consider is like the 3-cost Duffy. You could try that out. I personally don't really like it because I like to go aggressive, but I know players that use these or they use these as their high end. With this one, I could agree. I would personally even play maybe 2 or 4 of these. Depends on the meta, but that's another option you can get. For the defense, since you noticed we don't have a lot of 2k counters and we need 2k counters, usually people are running Ezos right now. Let me put this to the side. People are running Ezos right now, this one, as a 2k counter. Basically, it can rest up to one of your opponent's characters with a cost of 4 or less when it's played. So it helps you out to close games, especially against Sakazuki when they have blockers up. This is a good way for you to rest them, same as with the backlight. But it's also a 2k counter, and you need defense cards because there's not a lot of 2k counters. That's why you might consider running this event. Basically for 0 you trash 1 card and get a 3k on top. It's a cheap card, you can get it easily. You can consider like 2k counters like the carrot, but at this point green cards don't have a lot of 2k counters that are good. That's why in a month we're gonna get a new ST deck where Mihawk is coming out. The picture will be on the screen. And that Mihawk will replace either the Ezo or the carrots that I'm suggesting you to play. Another thing you can consider is 2k events like Pun Gibson. Pun Gibson right now is like 2 or 3 euros, and it has a good effect. As a trigger, it rests up to one of your opponent characters. So if your opponent is going for game, you can survive out of trigger with this card, especially since this card gives you a 1k to your lead for the whole turn if it's triggered out of life. So, and you have a lot of blockers. So this only helps you with your defense. If you have it in your hand and you keep 2 Dawn open, basically up to one of your leaders or characters gains 4000, and you can rest one of your opponent's 4 or lower like character. Even if they have a blocker and you use this, you can rest the blocker and go for game the next turn, so it's amazing. If this is too expensive for you, you can try to find the spider web, which is also a 2-cost counter card, which is an event. And it also gives you 4k on counter, but it can restand one of your cards. And if you have like a 7-cost Luffy on the board and you block with the Luffy and they go for like 9k or something like that, you block with the Luffy, you activate this, giving your Luffy 11k, and you restand the same Luffy. So you can block with him again and he survives the 9k swing, as an example. So this is one of the cards you can consider to get yourself to be able to make this a budget-friendly deck. If you have any other questions, let me know. I'll get back to you as soon as possible. And basically, it's best to text me on Discord. That way I can answer you on the spot. You can find the Discord in the description below. And of course, don't forget to subscribe. And thank you for watching. Have a good day.